So my name is Alyson Pou, and I am now in the midst of doing a performance and installation at the South Street Seaport Museum at 213 Water Street. And the piece is called A Slight Headache. And it's set in the 19th century, the mid to late 19th century. And it's the story of a mother and a daughter. And it's a kind of a fantastical metaphor. The story goes that the daughter is born from the mother's head, and she's very tiny, kind of springs from her head as Athena, and the mother and the daughter are from that moment connected by their hair, and the hair grows and grows, and the daughter grows and grows over the years, and they have an amazing life. They've been in freak shows, they've toured the world, and now they have their own cabinet of curiosities on Water Street in the South Street Seaport that visitors can come and see their exhibitions and also see them perform. And that's the piece. That's the context of the piece. That's the installation. And you're meant as the audience to take a tour of the curiosities and then see the mother and daughter perform. But tonight, different from all other nights, the daughter refuses to perform and confides in the audience of a deep secret, and everything falls apart, and the mother and daughter have a final confrontation in which the daughter decides or not decides to cut the hair. So that's the piece. So the idea was that the mother and daughter would own a cabinet of curiosities that would be filled with these oddities that they had collected from around the world on their tours. And I thought that it would be a wonderful idea to have a tour guide who would take the audience around and show them all of the objects and tell them the stories related to the objects, and then help them be seated. And we also have a singer who accompanies the melodrama on the piano. And so he sings a song in the beginning before the mother and daughter come out to do their act. And one of my inspirations for that combination of things is that in many of these dime museums or emporiums of entertainment, they would have hours and hours of entertainment. You would come maybe at 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, and you would hear singing, and you would see a melodrama, and then you would see a physical oddity, you would see a freak, and then you would hear a lecture, and then you would see another melodrama, and then you would hear more music, and then someone would play the violin, and then someone would sing, and then there would be another. So it would be just an endless parade of all kinds of entertainment. So I wanted to capture a little flavor of that. Well, I've always had an interest in the 19th century, and I've always been interested in things like cabinets of curiosity, dime museums, anatomy museums. But my actual use of that period and my interest in that material came more from the story as it presented itself to me. I wanted to find a period of history to set this story in which it might be plausible, actually plausible to happen. And one of the interesting things that I discovered after I wrote the piece initially, because the original inspiration for the piece was a recurring dream that I had of a room full of women connected by their hair. And that room full of women, when I sat down to write, became the mother and daughter. And after I actually got into writing the piece, I thought about the period that I wanted to set it in, because, as I said, I wanted it to be plausible, And this period between 1865 and 1885, and I actually choose 1875 as the year of the piece, was this amazing, fertile moment in history when science and medicine and entertainment all collided and convened in the form of things like freak shows and emporiums of entertainment, the most famous one being P.T. Barnum's museum that he opened not very many blocks away from here on Ann Street. And so that, as a person interested in performance, that really drew my interest and attention as well, because there were just many more rich, fertile forms of entertainment and performance. Like medicine shows were a form of performance. Lectures and discursive speaking was a form of that as well. And the combination of truth and fiction has always fascinated me as well. So you would go into a dime museum and you might see a real dinosaur bone, but then you would see something else that would be a combination of truth and fiction, much like the jokes that we have now, like horned rabbits, jackalopes, which is a holdover from that kind of thing. So it was kind of the humbuggery and the larger-than-lifeness of some of the things combined with things that were real, because many of the freaks, obviously, people who had deformities were thought of as, were called freaks at the time, and these things were real, and these people were real, and these were real challenges in their lives. I was also very, as I said, very intrigued by medicine of the time as well. Modern medicine as we know it today was the period in which it was really coming into its own. Surgery was becoming more safe, antiseptics, operating room procedure, the discovery of X-ray. But again, X-ray became this amazing thing used in medicine, but at first it was a parlor game. It was an exhibition to be, shown in a lecture gallery, and people came and had their body parts X-rayed repeatedly and observed other people doing that. So it was just this amazing, incredible time. And the other thing that I found in my research, after writing about this tiny girl who's born out of her mother's head, I actually went to the Antiquarian Society in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I was doing some research, medical history research, and discovered a book of medical curiosities that recounted through history actual tiny babies being born out of different parts of one's body. And so I had confirmed for me something that I thought was fictitious. There was a plausibility to it in medicine. It's called fetus in fetu.
Wow.
So, and I discovered many things, many confirmations of things that I thought were my imagination through the research that I did.